I'm gonna jump the gun. Let's read. Don't let me project. Let's see what you get. Come on, Article 3. The Congress shall have no power to declare punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood. So no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood. Or what else? Or forfeiture, except during the life of the person attainted. Now let's ooh, you gotta marinate with that. So it says no where's it at? No attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture, except during the life of the person attainted. So my point is, when you agree to be black, you have attainted yourself. You've given it up voluntarily. You forfeited. You forfeited. But that only counts during your life. Your son or your daughter can come back behind you. That's why we said we trust. Come on, boy. That's it. Can come back behind you and clean it all up. You can clean it all up. Read it again. Read it again, because it's tricky now. And then now you got to think, well, wait a minute now, who did this? Because there were some that they knew were attaining themselves during this time. When did the prophet say, what's the 101? When did the prophet say they start calling themselves?
1774.
Come on, bro. They were attaining themselves at that time. When was this Constitution written?
1791.
So now let's see, they're attaining themselves. So somebody is saying, okay, look. Some of these niggas, some of these folk are agreeing to be Negro, black, whatever they are. They're not identifying themselves as this. But no attaint of blood. So while you living, if you want to be this, you can be this. But when you choose to be black and Negro, we taking all your crap. We pimp slapping you. We doing everything we want to you while you living. But here's the deal. When you are doing that, you are committing treason. Not the European.
Mm-hmm.
You. What do you mean? I'm black. That's a treasonous act. And because it's a treasonous act, as long as you stay in that status, I can fry you. As long as you stay in that status, I can go at you. Hook, line, and sinker. You got it? So remember, Article 3, Section 3, is about the corruption of blood. Then the whole point is, why does the Constitution talk about attainder? Why is it about corruption of blood? One question, whose blood are they talking about?
Sovereign.
Whose blood?
The Moors.
The national's blood. The Moors.
I want to touch on something before you pass it.
Go ahead.
It's important. I'm pretty sure we know this, but he's on live too. So, with this definition, right, it says the consequences of this judgment are forfeiture of lands, tenements, and hereditaments. And then it also says, upon a thorough demonstration of which guilt by legal attainder, the feudal covenant is broken. I want to highlight that because, consequences of judgment are forfeiture of lands, right? So if somebody attains you and attains your blood, they have to forfeit your land. It's a consequence. But in terms of the United States corporation and the citizens, they don't own any land, right? So that particular part, you got to kind of like read, like, okay, where do I find them in it? Then it's the next word when it comes to tenements. Because if you look at any mortgage agreement, there's a clause in every single one of them. They'll tell you, like, common law of England, you'll see the word feudal, and you'll see tenements. So any so-called property that they hold is under that. And so that's what it, talks about the tenements, and then the feudal covenant is broken. So that's that part of it. And then also, I'm gonna let her touch on this, but she looked up the words. So like the last part, by the Constitution of the United States, no crime, words, and attainer, right? So they're talking about words.
And according to no Webster's dictionary, same one. Word as a verb, intransitive verb, it means to dispute, or of course to express in words. So no crime disputes an attainder. So no matter what you do, you can't do anything to make it right, to attaint your blood or taint your blood. So it's an injustice from the beginning. So yeah.
Which is why, no matter what alleged crime that you're brought upon, for example, to a tribunal, they can't get past nationality.
They can't get past status.
They can't get past status.
Islam.
Yep.
If you bring status to the table,
That's Constitution. That's
you got to bring it to the table. So, and just remember this, guys. Please, this whole concept about democracy, let's flip that. Let's push that to the side. This whole concept, for just a second, because we're going to turn it upside down. This whole concept about racism and prejudice. They racist. You're a bigot. You prejudice. It is the wrong platform for you, and it is the wrong platform for me. We got to throw that out. And I know some people out there in the internet land and the social media land saying, are you crazy? You mean let them get away with racism? Just stop. That's a fake platform. You sitting over there fighting on the wrong platform. The platform that we all have to come together and fight on is bloodline.
Islam.
It's our bloodline. So on the strength of our bloodline, on the strength of our heritage, on the strength of our pedigree, great day in the morning, that's the fight. Okay, so here's what I would say. And this for my friends out there in the social media. I know this is going to sound crazy to most of y'all. Give up on the name black. It is the lowest status of citizenship that exists. Same thing with African American, same thing with people of color, same thing with Hispanic, same thing with minority, same thing with Latino, same thing with Chicano, same thing with Dominican, same thing with Puerto Rican. Guys, they are tags that crush us. All we want to do is make the platform our bloodline.
Islam, just to dial back to racism. Racism or race in general is a pseudoscience. You could tie back to scientists. I believe, I forget what year it was, but it was early on. I believe 1800s or so, where they were studying different skulls from each continent, and they came up with the Mongolian, the Negroid, and the Anglo, and all these different skeletal remains that they was dealing with, and then they decided to create this pseudoscience, being though it's a race. Now, if you reference Sex and Race, Volume 1. You have some literature. There was reference by J. Rogers himself from Hitler, and Hitler even said himself to propagate his agenda, to push along his agenda, he would have to convince his people that they were a superior race.
That's right.
Which he stated himself that the race is only serving him, his purpose of pushing the agenda along, even though he's speaking directly to the scientist that knows, they're cognizant of race being a pseudoscience, but it served his purpose to his own people.
Well, let me say this. We're going to just keep it simple. How many races are there? One. I'm not talking about Pimlico. One. I'm not talking about the Kentucky Derby.
One.
There's one race. And what race is it? Human race. And I'm going to tell y'all something. I can argue anybody. I don't think it's been too many more long live the black fist people for however long the earth exists than me. You know what I mean? I give props to a rapper I used to be in our stable. His name was Crush. And and that was his line that I loved so much. But as we became conscious, we became clear. This thing is not about black power. Black power is a diversion. I know what you mean when you say black power. I know the intent of black power. Nobody screamed black power louder than me. But here's the deal. Color, black, Negro, African American, Indian, oh my goodness, Hispanic, Chicano, Latino, Puerto Rican, Dominican, they're all Filipino. They're all tags that remove you from the human family. We were already here. Didn't come here on slave ships. Did not come here on slave ships. Somebody pull up real quick as we close. Somebody pull up the letter from Rahm Emanuel. Just going to read a quick paragraph. This letter was written by Rahm Emanuel. Somebody grab it. Somebody grab it. I'm going to, real quick. And while we're doing that, Rahm Emanuel used to be the former mayor of the city of Chicago. Rahm Emanuel led the campaigns of Clinton, Bill Clinton, and also Barack Obama. And when Barack Obama, he helped with the finance, getting the brother some private commercial paper and security. Real quick here, Rahm Emanuel, a little on Rahm Emanuel. He was the director of financing committee of the former President Bill Clinton in 1992 presidential campaign, and he was a senior advisor to President Clinton for policy and strategy. Rahm Emanuel, a modern-day European Jew, was also extremely instrumental in helping to get Barack Hussein Obama selected, watch it, to the president in 2008. Rahm Emanuel served as the White House chief of staff during the first term of Obama's presidency, and he later resigned to run for mayor of Chicago in 2010 and won the office in 2011. His first written official proclamation as mayor of the city of Chicago was a letter that clearly spelled out the true history of the so-called black people, the Moors. It also explained how they arrived in the Americas and are the absolute true aboriginal and indigenous people of the present-day America. And for the record, no transatlantic slave trade or the so-called black diaspora is mentioned or even referenced. And we're going to read a piece of this letter carefully, the proclamation which is follows. So let me say this. I'm reading from a book I wrote called The Shocking Truth About So-Called Blacks. And who's going to read this proclamation letter that Rahm Emanuel sent out? Just the first couple paragraphs just to put you on point. So, and keep in mind that this same letter was sent out in Arkansas, North Carolina, Atlanta.
Every state.
Huh?
Every city.
Not quite. Philadelphia sent out something like that. Washington, D.C. Did Baltimore?
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Stephanie Rollins Blake.
Stephanie Rollins Blake, she knew. Mm-hmm. She knew what we about to read. Here we go. Let's go. Who got it? Come on, brother, rock out.
First one?
Yeah, where we're at.
Whereas the Moorish Americans are descendants of the ancient Moabites, Hamites, and Canaanites who were permitted by the old pharaohs of Kemet to traverse from East Africa and later formed themselves kingdoms extending from northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, the Atlantic Islands, and on to the present-day continental America.
So it tells you, here he is, and these mayors are putting this out all over the cities, all over the states. They're saying that the real so-called Moors, the so-called black people that are Moors, were already here. They came not on slave ships. Is that right? They formed themselves kingdoms extending from the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa, the Atlantic Islands, onto the present-day continental Americas. We were already here.
And you want the definition of kingdoms too, the black smoke.
Come on with it.
I ain't got it right.
Yeah, you do. On the record, for the record. Yeah, you do. So, my guys, we're on a tainting of blood. It's not that we're getting too far left. Whose blood and how critical is the blood? The blood is tremendous, and the Constitution clearly shows that when you call yourself black, Negro, colored, Indian, Dominican, Hispanic, Latino, Chicano, people of color, minority, when you call yourself that, you are tainting your blood. And guess what? You are guilty of treason.
I got it.
Come on.
Black's Law Special Deluxe 50th Kingdom, a country where an officer called a king exercises the powers of government, whether the same be absolute or limited. In some kingdoms, the executive officer may be a woman, matriarch, who is called a queen, sultana.
All right. So now the next verse, real quick on whereas the indigenous. Come on, where you at? We're at the. By the way, for the record, we're reading office of the mayor of Chicago, city of Chicago, Rahm Emanuel there, and it says the proclamation. Everybody, you can Google this, even though we trust and we verify. Google is not the panacea for all things true, but for this piece, you can Google it and you can find it. And come on, whereas we're in the second paragraph, the indigenous.
Whereas the indigenous Moorish peoples of the Americas are now united in order to again link themselves.
Hold it right there! Oh my gosh! Whereas the Moorish American people, right, are united in order to again link themselves to the family of nations. So what again? So if anything happens again, that meant it happened before. Y'all right? So if something happened before and you got to do it again, something happened to make before no more good. Does that make y'all say it? Look, do it like we used to do. Say amen when you can. Say it's long. So to again link yourself to the family of nations. Oh my Lord. Y'all don't see it yet? Look. All we're saying is this. Something happened because the Moors were part of the family of nations, the bloodline of nations. They honored their mothers and fathers. And now when they came back and it's clear that they're calling themselves Moors, because guess what? When you call yourself black, here it comes. Y'all can talk about me later, I don't care. When you call yourself black, when you call yourself African American, big continent. When you call yourself Latino, Hispanic, Indian, Puerto Rican, Dominican, minority, people of color, great day in the morning, you are disconnecting yourself from the family of nations. Your law book, when you look up color, says that you're not a real person. Somebody said, well, I was in Black's Law, and I looked up black. I didn't see that. Oh, you better pay attention. You look up color, right? And it tells you you're not real, and then you start looking up Negro, black, and then it goes back to and tells you to see color. Great day. Woo! Black's Law 4th edition. Listen here. Guys, this thing is serious. And they know. So come on, brother. You said whereas the indigenous people of America are now what? United?
In order to again link them.
In order to again link them. Thank you. They come back now. They're now united because when they call themselves Moors, they again link themselves to what?
The family of nations.
Why? Somebody look up color in that dictionary, because when you call yourself all of those other names I went through, the Indian, the Chicano, all of those are tags. They are noun-negers. And they rob you of your bloodline. You give it up. You're nothing with that. That's the whole game, and the Constitution agrees. Come on, Torin, you got it.
Whereas the Moorish Americans, being aboriginal to the territories of the North Central.
Hold it. So here it is. Here's another document that says we're aboriginal to the territories of North. Go ahead.
Central and South Americas.
Wait. So we're aboriginal to North America? You lying. We came over here on slave ships. I went to high school and I went to college. I had black history in college. And I got an A in it. and we came over here on slave ships.
You said you was educated, brother?
I was educated.
Okay.
And then you find out that educated means what?
Trained animals.
The training of animals. But this guy's lost his mind. He says educated means the training of animals. We're taught to get an education. Etymology online. Get there, look it up. Etymology online. Look up education. But hold on. We didn't come over here on slave ships. That's a lie. Well, why would they lie? What's the point of them lying? Because if they get you to say you're from Africa over there, because you're standing on Africa, but if you're from over there, you freely give up your birthright. You give up the privilege that your bloodline says you should have, and some thief comes in and say, well, he left it. Founders keepers. And that's what's going on. Now, how do we fix this? You fix this by everybody coming together. Well, I'm a member of the United Negro College. Okay, stand over here, Negro. Okay, no problem. Well, first of all, didn't you go to a historically black college over here? Well, I tell you what, if you really care about fixing this together, we all should continue to give to the the National Association for the Advancement of
Colored People.
And all of that are non-gears that rob you of your birthright. You see how deep this game runs? So we want to give to the National Association for the Continued Advancement of Moors. We want to give to the National Association for the Continued Advancement of the Nationals. We want to give to the true Americans. No argument. But when you call yourself something in law, that law says you're nothing, then we got a problem with that. So let's just do this right now. Here's the plea. All of y'all, for all of these so-called black, Hispanic, Latino, Black Lives Matter. No, they don't. Because of what black really means. So let's just come together and say, okay. We don't agree on this, we don't agree on that. Let's agree on this. We were already here. And let's call ourselves something other. We can call ourselves Asiatic. We can call ourselves Moorish Americans. Let's call ourselves something other than those tags that the law says African American is. No. African American is a tag. That's what your law book shows you. Pay attention. That's what it says. Come on with your question, brother.
What about Asians who are born here in the country, like Koreans, for example? Like a Korean.
They are Mongolian, and they are fine. They are Moors. Make a long story short. We could go in, but we run out of time, but they're Mongolians. What else you got? Come on. So, back to Article 3 as we close.
All right. Whereas the Moorish Americans, being aboriginal to the territories of the North, Central, and South Americas, have formed a sovereign, theocratic government guided by the command principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice.
A little louder.
Okay. Through virtue of the universal right to self-determination, as well as with the Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples guaranteed in the Charter.
Stop right there. I got to do something real quick. How we doing on time? Okay, real quick. I know we got to go. Here we go.
We got 20 minutes.
Okay. I got to do this, y'all. Please. I got to go rights of indigenous people. We got to go to the rights of indigenous people. We got to go to the rights of indigenous people. So this document was adopted, right? So here it is. On December 2010, the President Barack Hussein Obama signed the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. The document does many things, but ultimately it instructs the occupying authority of every nation land to recognize the indigenous people, and it gives honor and reverence for the societies and the magnificent culture of native people, while also giving an avenue and a mandate for indigenous people to receive retribution for any occupying authorities' wrong and unfair treatment. So stay with me. When the document was introduced in 2007, 143 countries voted to approve it.
Except
143. Wait a minute, we coming. 11 countries poked out. And they said, hey, I'm just going to stay neutral. I'm not saying yes or no. So what? Remember, they came up with a law where all these nations got together and said, look, check this out, yo. You got to let them know that they are the original people. All of y'all who are masquerading and hiding that the original people aren't the original people, that's too much. Y'all robbing people and you doing dirt. You got to let them know. So they came up with this. 143 nations said, okay, We got to tell them. 11 nations said, my name is Bennett, I'm not in it. I'm not saying yes or no. 4 countries stood up amidst all of that heat and said, hell no, I ain't telling them nothing. You want to guess who those 4 countries are? Let me help you. Hold on, here we go. Here we go. Here are the 4 countries that said initially, they said, I ain't telling you nothing. New Zealand was one. Yeah, I don't know why New Zealand. Of course, New Zealand is European. Nope. We're going to explain. Australia said, oh, hell no. We can't let them know. Right? Know who else said no? This going to shake you up. I know you got to go. This going to shake you up. You know who else said this? Canada.
Yep.
Canada said no. And finally, the corporation.
U.S. corporation.
The U.S. corporation said no.
Everybody in America.
Why won't you tell them? So here's the story. Here's your history, and then we shutting it down. After we close out with Attainder. Look at it this way. This document was initially signed by every voting member, every voting nation member of the world except 4. 11 excluded, except 4. Now here's the story. New Zealand, whose indigenous Aboriginal people were the dark complexion or dark shade Maori, which you call Polynesian. Y'all got it? So the Polynesians are Moors. Australia, whose indigenous Aboriginal people are a dark shade people called Morari Wari. Oh, you call them Aborigines. You got them? And then here's the one that really that shake people up because they don't know about the cocoa plate ship and how you were at the tropical area and then you rotated up. The original people of Canada were called what?
Canaanites.
The Canaanites. Well, I think I've heard that name before. Sure you have. Do you have a Torah? Do you have a Holy Quran? Do you have a Christian Bible? Do you have the Pentateuch? Do you have any of those holy books? Because in those books, you go around for the Torah that occupies the land of Canaan. The Canaan are Joshua and Caleb. Y'all know the story where they spied out the land. Joshua and Caleb spied out the land, right? And the biblical book of Numbers, chapter 13 and 14. And yes, the country Canada was named after the ancestors of those Canaanites. They were Moors. They were Moors. Words matter, y'all. Words matter. And finally and chiefly the American land. This territory, occupied by the Al Moroccans. The land was El Morocco, now called American, and those so-called black people were Moors. That's what history tells us. And guess what? Everybody, there used to be a song, Give My Age Away, I don't care. Somebody used to sing it called The Whole World's Laughing at Me. And that's Teddy Pendergrass, and I'm just telling you, everybody around the globe, the vast majority of nation states, knows who we are. We're the last to know. You ever been the last to know? You've been the last to know. So let me say this. And so here you have, so of course Barack Obama, what did he do? They put pressure on New Zealand, trade. They put pressure on Australia, and definitely lit up Canada. And he was in the corporate peace, and they're trying to get it together, trying to appease because the corporation is under big attack. And they all signed the Declaration of Indigenous People, speaking this truth. And in the Declaration, the agreement was you got to tell the people. Well, when they told the people, this is a proclamation that went out from Rahm Emanuel. But not only Rahm, Stephanie Rawlins-Blake, the mayor in Atlanta. I wrote about that too. Hold on, I should have something. Come on. Where is it at? All of these people know who put out the proclamation. And the sad thing is, here we go. Omaha, Nebraska, Jim Smith was the mayor. This happened in 2012. Tacoma, Washington, Maryland Strickland, the mayor. in January. Charlotte, North Carolina, Anthony R. Fox, we calling him out. Baltimore, Maryland, Stephanie Rollins Blake, she sent out something in Baltimore to say, here we go, this is the truth, we confess. Fayetteville, North Carolina, Anthony G. Siobhan, in January 2012. Lynchburg, Virginia, Joanne F. Foster as mayor. Little Rock, Arkansas, Mark Stadola, mayor. Trenton, New Jersey, Tony Mack, mayor. Tyler, Texas, Barbara Bass, mayor. Atlanta, Georgia, C.T. Martin. Now, they did it from a council member. He was a council member, but he put it out, made the proclamation. Washington, D.C. did it in 2011. Look, Noble Drew Ali Day, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in 2012. John Street. Look, the bottom line is they were supposed to tell us what happened, who we really are. They were supposed to put it on the news and broadcast it, and they just did. And they were supposed to do it in every synagogue, every church, every mosque. And that's what's supposed to happen. So finally, let me say this. Article 3, Section 3, if you can just turn into your Constitution, guys that are out there, and the Constitution is only a few pages long. They trick you. You thought it was a big old book. Please pull it down and just read the thing and do the etymology and look up the words, the meaning of words, the time it was written at a minimum. You got it? And it's telling you that your blood. Article 3. And I'm going to read and I'm out. We get them later. Here we go. Article 3. Article 3. It says, treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them. And sister, get 1828 Attainder one more time. On them and adhering to their enemies, give them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act or on a confession in open court. Brother, why are you reading that? The Congress shall have power to declare punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attainted. So your forfeiture takes place during your life. You give up everything. What does attainder mean? She's getting it. Listen to this. When you call yourself Negro, black, color, African American, minority, people of color, Chicano, Latino, Hispanic, Dominican, Puerto Rican, all of that attaints your blood. And you don't know it, but you do now. Come on with attainted. Lastly on attainted. Listen to this definition one more time, guys.
Attainder, noun, Latin, ad and tingo, to stain.
To stain, to muddy up. Come on.
Literally a staining corruption or rendering impure a corruption of blood. Hence, the judgment of death or sentence of a competent tribunal upon a person convicted of treason or felony, which judgment taints or corrupts his blood, so that he can no longer inherit land.
So when you taint, you corrupt your blood, you can't inherit land. What else?
The consequences of this judgment are forfeiture of land.
You forfeit your land when you call yourself Negro, Black, African American. What else?
Tenements and hereditaments.
Your tenements and your hereditaments. Come on, what else?
Loss of reputation.
Oh my God.
Qualification to be a witness in any court of law. A statute of parliament attainting a criminal is called an act of attainder.
Yes.
Upon the thorough demonstration of which guilt by legal attainder, the feudal covenant is broken. The act of attaining, an act was made for the attainder of several persons. Note, by the Constitution of the United States, no crime words and attainder.
Thank you, sister. Guys, in the closing, when somebody sends you a bill with your nom de guerre on it, Smith, Jones, Johnson, Bey, when somebody gives you a traffic ticket with your nom de guerre on it, when somebody's trying to put you into something that you're not, they are tainting your blood. It is your heirship who you are. This thing is serious. This thing is serious. And if we can get all the other groups and social groups that look like you and me to simply come to that basic agreement, like they already told you, you were already here. You did not come over here on slave ships. La la, pants on fire. And I yield the floor, and I thank y'all for your time.
Islam.